Okay. We are Team 2, and we are presenting on our Servant Leadership Service Learning Project for St. Vincent de Paul and Food at First. Both of these volunteer opportunities really put into perspective why it's so important to be a leader in the community and help others who are in need. I am Caitlin Eigenberg. I was designated team captain, and I volunteered at Food and First here in Ames. I'm a healthcare administrator student, and I really enjoyed this project altogether.
I'm Kylie. I volunteered at St. Vincent de Paul. I am currently going to get my nursing degree, and this was a pretty interesting project in itself, too.
I'm Emily. I also volunteered at St. Vincent de Paul. I'm a BSN student. So to start with our presentation, I'm going to go over the history and mission. So Food at First is exclusive to Ames and was started by a church that saw a growing need to feed the homeless in their community. They provide meals for the hungry living in Ames and provides a judgment-free place to gather groceries and personal items. St. Vincent de Paul began in St. Louis, Missouri in 1845 and established here in Des Moines in 1924 and has since then helped thousands of homeless people across many cities. Another thing with St. Vincent de Paul is they help with assistance with food, clothing, rent, utilities, educational, and job training. And their biggest focus is to assist those living in poverty become self-sufficient by removing barriers to success. There's over 15,000 individuals served annually at St. Vincent, and from the year 2016, $1.13 million of charity was given away through services, pantries, and store giveaways. Both organizations, though different in size, aim to help as many as they can, and their mission is to improve their communities and change perspective of those in need.
And then for the social issues, Food at First and St. Vincent de Paul aim to combat the same social issues in their different communities. They both aim to end the negative stigma behind homelessness and everything that goes around with that. Many people are hesitant to serve the homeless because of the biased and the assumptions made about their situations. Not a lot of people like to be really, be around the homeless and things like that. And these organizations do seek to change that. They do want people out there helping these people that are in need, and they want to show the communities what they have to offer for everyone in the community, especially the people that need these services. Like Emily stated, the food pantry, the thrift shop, the education, the financial services, and things like that. And they would love people to help with those.
The nature of this project, both Food at First and St. Vincent de Paul offer very similar services in their community. Like we stated before, both have a free market where they take food from local grocery stores to give those away to people. Food at First offers hot meals 7 days a week. And then, of course, the thrift store that St. Vincent de Paul offers. Their goal is to really end the hunger in their community and also, like Kylie stated, end the stigma, the negative stigma of homelessness. The main difference between these two is that St. Vincent de Paul offers the thrift store and educational services, where Food at First is more focused on hunger. Volunteering at both of these organizations was a really big eye-opener for all of us. We did not realize how many of these resources there are in the community, or just how important they are to people in the community. It's not just people who are homeless, it's people who have children and can't make ends meet. They have a family to provide for, and they want a safe space where there's no judgment, no assumptions, and that's really what these organizations aim to accomplish. We got to prepare and serve food. Everyone is super grateful. The thing that stuck out to me the most in this project was these people are regular people. You might not even pick them off the street as homeless or in trouble. And every single one of them was extremely grateful for the services. Emily got to package and prepare Thanksgiving meals for people who would not have otherwise been able to feed their families if it wasn't for these resources. And I know St. Vincent de Paul and Food at First both serve more people than you would even realize are in need in the community. So I think that really was the nature of this project altogether.
And then kind of overall how our project went. We kind of discussed this last week, how it went really, really, really well. And I think it was, like Caitlin said, an eye-opener for us because we didn't know all these resources were available, and we also didn't know there were that many people in need. It taught us all really valuable life lessons, and being able to apply it to the things that we learned in class, and about being a servant leader and serving others and getting other people involved to serve others. It was a really good project, and it was really an eye-opener, basically. And our biggest thing is that we need to become aware of our community needs, and it allows us to better inform those around us. And our biggest thing is being college students and having lives. It's sometimes hard to volunteer all the time. But if we can't volunteer, at least we can spread information and let those people know that these resources are available for them. Also, our objectives that we had for this project was 1, to better understand and see the needs of those in our community. 2, to learn how to bring awareness to the needs of the community to those in our own lives. And 3, to make a difference in the community of Des Moines and Ames by volunteering our time and contributing to the services at St. Vincent de Paul and Food at First. So we all believe that we've met these outcomes and these objectives. I know that I personally talked to our supervisor at St. Vincent and asked her, do you have any information that I can have that I can give out to people that I know that are in need, especially when we're thinking about college students that we go to school with every day. A lot of them have families, have a lot of finances, and it's hard for them to have jobs full time while they're in school. So I think what I can do other than volunteering is give all of that information to people that I go to school with and my friends that are struggling and things like that, because that's what these resources are for.
And then directions for more future work with volunteering. I think just talking with these two ladies, we all would like to continue volunteering, whether it be with the same volunteer groups that we have been doing or finding something different to help our communities. We would all like to continue to do that. But we also, if we had more time to the project, we would like to have more time to plan, and we would have better prepared ourselves for our volunteer hours. With school, work, and everything else that everyday life hands to us every day is sometimes very challenging, especially when there's a lot of stuff going on. It's hard to find the time to, volunteer, especially when you got a lot going on. And it's hard to be, that leader and that person to be serving other people. And you kind of have to take back and let yourself be that person. We also would, like Emily said, like to tell other people about these organizations. I don't think a lot of people really out there know that, there are these organizations and there are these people out there in our communities that do need their help. And just by volunteering clothes, you're helping financially help these nonprofit, places have the money to financially help somebody else or, you know, to help them do the classes that these people need to find jobs, to assist their families and things like that. So even just the small act of donating your clothes to this nonprofit organization helps so many different people, and in so many different areas too. And also with the food banks and helping people get food really helps a lot.
Yeah, I think that really carries us over well into the what have we learned portion. This whole experience all around was educational and a very good learning experience for us all. We were pretty naive into thinking about just how many people in our small communities need help, and how helpful these resources can be, since there are so many more people than we originally thought. I know that even though Food at First does not offer the educational portion, I just can't even imagine how helpful that can be to people who are not from here, people who have struggled in the past trying to find a job. Even having like a resume resource can be infinitely helpful. At Food at First, we focused more on the food portion of giving back, and I know a lot of people think about the banquet come holiday time and how to volunteer and how to donate your time to people. So it's actually pretty hard to get in volunteer hours around the holidays because everyone automatically thinks of the banquet. But what Food at First offers differently is their free market. And I could not believe how much food was brought in. There were truckloads and truckloads, and the shelves stacked up so fast. I thought there was no way we could get rid of the food that we got rid of at the free market. Every single time I served, week after week, just endless amounts of foods brought in, donated selflessly from grocery stores and the college. And people brought in personal hygiene products, and there were constantly things being dropped off to give away to help people. And at Food at First, there's a big banner above the entrance door that says judgment free. We don't ask any questions, take what you need, which is really kind of the epitome of what Food at First is aiming to do. So the biggest thing I learned is that even during the holidays when you want to be volunteering and donating your hours, there's 11 more months out of the year that you can donate in some way. Whether that's donating old coats that are sitting in your closet, or finding some cans of food, or, you know, just educating people around you. So the biggest lesson that I took away was that people just genuinely are not aware of all the different organizations. If Kylie and Emily had not told me about the educational part of St. Vincent de Paul, I never would have even known that organizations like that exist. I mean, like I said, you think about the food banquet when you think about donating time. You don't think about how many other aspects go into serving the needy. So all in all, I think the biggest thing I learned is that if you cannot donate time, donate things, or educate people around you, because the possibilities are literally endless.
My experience at St. Vincent, I got to help make Thanksgiving baskets and meals for families in the community that needed them. And I also got to help out in the food pantry and the clothing pantry and help put food out up on the tables and hang up clothes and things like that. And I got to spend a lot of time with our supervisor, Chastity, while doing that. And I was able to ask her a lot of questions. And I think one of the biggest things that I learned is that the social stigma about, you know, people who are poor and people who use these resources, they're not using these resources as a handout. It's not a handout. St. Vincent de Paul is not a handout. It's not to give out just free things for anybody. It's just like I said earlier, it's more focused on getting people who are poor and living in poverty back up on their feet and making them sufficient. People that St. Vincent de Paul serve are not people who want to be poor. They're not poor by choice. Unfortunately, during hard times and maybe moving and things like that, they just end up not having all of the needs met that they have. And so that's a really big thing that I learned. And the other thing that I learned is that there's such a large population of these people who are struggling. And it doesn't mean that they struggle their whole life. It just might be going through a hard time, and everybody deserves assistance when they need it. And that's kind of my takeaway.
I also volunteered at St. Vincent's, and there I just did more of like the thrift store type activities. I sorted through hats, scarves, and gloves and socks, and got them ready to put in the store itself. So I tagged the items that needed prices and things like that. And especially with it being colder weather, hats, gloves, and scarves definitely are needed for people right now. Because those are very expensive, and if people need that kind of need, then it's really needed. But one of the things that I learned is that besides for just like the food bank, there's so much more out there that people can do to help people out there who are in need. And there's some people who need more than other people. Some people just need help getting a job because they don't know how to make a resume. That's a really hard thing to do. And having people there at this organization to help people, you know, build their resumes and help them get a job can help them better their future for their families and for themselves. And having the resources of handing out suits for them to go on their interviews, or even helping out financially, just to give them that boost, especially with Christmas coming around. It's hard with children and things of that nature. I never really knew there was just so much out there that people can do to help these people besides for just giving them food and water and clothing. It just goes way beyond what I thought it would in the end.
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway for all of us is that it not just feels good to get back to the community, but it really does make a difference. So being able to take away the lessons from this class and apply them to our volunteer hours, and then we learn from our volunteer hours and take that into our personal lives and move forward in the future, I think is really what this project was all about. And we all really appreciate the opportunity we were given, and we look forward to volunteering in the future.